Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Krishna Mukherjee from the Economic Times Edge. It gives me immense pleasure welcoming you all to the Economic Times live webinar on how to scale your business with the power of cloud. This webinar is brought to you by the Economic Times Edge in association with IBM. At the outset, let me run you through a quick presentation on cloud. Demand from different quarters has led to a robust jump in the cloud market. And today, over 90% of the companies are using cloud in some fashion. According to Synergy Research, the global cloud computing market is now worth $180 billion in vendor revenues, with the market growing at a rate of 24% annually. Some predictions on cloud market show that the global hybrid cloud market will grow at 22.5% CAGR from $33.28 billion in 2016 to $91.74 billion by 2021. By 2022 also, 90% of organizations will adopt hybrid infrastructure, and public and private cloud spending will be 53.15% of infrastructure spending and will result in average TCO saving of 40% for cloud adopters. But at the same time, friends, the same legacy cloud would not help us to sail smoothly, and we have to move into a new platform which is agile and modernize. Earlier, we were running new applications in the network, and the infrastructure was at that time was new. But over a period of time, it has aged and has become a huge challenge because the infrastructure may not be that agile enough to support it. The business demands are also changing with the changing times. From an enterprise perspective, the demand for cloud is changing with respect to different segments. Enterprises all over the world today are undergoing business transformation. For years, they invested heavily in on-premises IT deployments and mission-essential business applications that are critical today and will remain critical well into the future. Today also, they have the need to build net new applications in an agile fashion with modern resilient architectures to meet changing business demands. Enterprises now have the ability to run applications that are architected in varying models and use varying application services both on premises and across multiple clouds. Over the past 5 years, with the evolution of business technologies, cloud computing has played a big part as the service model has deepened and matured. There is a dramatic increase in the types of workloads that are moving into the cloud. With the advent of emerging technologies such as big data analytics and machine learning, the enterprises need to move beyond agility and cost savings towards innovation, analytics, and intelligence. With the increasing sophistication of today's multi-cloud IT environments, the IT buying needs of businesses are maturing. 5 years ago, enterprises were talking about how quickly they could get their IT into their cloud. Now they face the need to integrate across cloud and on-premises domains, bringing apps and data together to power business initiatives. Technologies such as containers and microservices are enabling more flexibility, elasticity, and speed of development to meet the business demands. Friends, there is a dire need, therefore, to redefine business models, technology stacks, and business applications to bring agility that can facilitate digital transformation. Modernization must happen for both business and the underlying technology architecture. Moving forward, the mantra is simple: to modernize, as nobody wants to remain a black sheep. To understand more about the modernization of cloud and how IBM is enabling a smooth journey into cloud and help to grow your business, we have with us Mr. Venkatesh Kumaravel. He is the practice leader, platform and management, hybrid cloud, IBM India, and Mr. Sukumar Suburaj. He is senior consultant, IBM Cloud. They would be sharing their viewpoints on IBM Application Modernization. Before I hand it over to Mr. Suburaj, I request that you please be present till the end of the webinar, answer the polls and feedback to be eligible for the gift vouchers. Please visit webinar website for detailed terms and conditions. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Suburaj. And before Mr. Suburaj presents his PPT, I would request Naveen to let's go for the video, the first video which IBM wants to present.
There are three use cases that we see with IBM Cloud Private. The first one is around your heritage applications by moving those to the cloud. So not only do we provide the core platform runtime and common services, which are Cloud Foundry, containers and Kubernetes, and management services integrating around those, but we also deliver IBM's experience in middleware, the data, analytics, Java portfolio of services, which allow customers to move those heritage applications onto the cloud and manage them in a standard and consistent way and optimizing their costs. The second use case is around opening your data center to integrate with other services and applications that may reside outside of your environment. So we still deliver the core platform runtime and common services, but we also deliver integration services such as API Connect that allows you to leverage your application behind your secure firewall and then integrate that with other services that may be running on the public cloud or maybe data that might be running in other parts of your data center. The third use case is around creating new cloud-native applications. We still deliver the platform runtime and core services that provide the management, and then on top of that we deliver cloud-native services that allow you to build microservice-based architectures and 12-factor-based apps. So this last use case allows you to really unleash the business innovation that the cloud provides.
Okay. Thank you very much, Krishna Mukherjee, for your warm introduction. So let's jump into the product presentation. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sukumar. So Today, we are going to talk about the application modernization and more importantly, how to speed up the application modernization. Before we move to the presentation, I have one use case. Consider that I'm a CIO of an IT organization, or I'm an IT head. So I wanted to move my application into cloud. Basically, we wanted to touch upon our applications and then migrate to cloud environment, because everybody is talking about cloud and everybody is talking about the price and the cost of the complete journey, production, and resource, everything. So I'm also into the loop. I wanted to migrate and modernize my application, my enterprise workloads to the cloud. But I have these bunch of questions and problems. How can I migrate my application into cloud, because my applications are very legacy applications and my applications are not compatible at all for a new workload or new products and features or the latest trends and technology? How can I do that? And what is the skill set which I require? Because all I have is the traditional Java developers or the traditional application developers. Whether are they? Can I use them for modernizing or migrating my applications to the cloud? Third one is, what is the product roadmap or my enterprise application roadmap? What I have and what I can show it to my users, my application users, or my investors, that what I'm doing in terms of infrastructure. And the critical thing is the timeline. What timeline I can commit, or I can conclude that this is that we need to follow to finish the application movement to the cloud journey. What is the budget? The next question. These are all very critical things. The next one is, what can I select? Whether it is an hybrid cloud or private cloud or public cloud, which means that the security, vulnerability, and compliance. What is that I should select? And that also meet the high availability, scalability, and auto availability, auto provisioning. How can I get all these features? How can I select, or what is the mechanism to select? And second thing is the applications, whether I need to recode or lift and shift method where I can use so that it will reduce tremendous effort and energy. And automation, what kind of automation? Because in my on-prem existing production applications are already having higher automations implemented. How can I get it to the cloud environment as well? And second thing is that automation still exists on the cloud, or do I need to follow a different practice in the cloud? DevOps lifecycle, how can I implement, whether it is an easy or very tough, or whether I can't even implement? So all these things to be concluded. The auto provisions and high availability of new machines and then existing apps, which is really a question mark for me when I select a new environment which is in cloud. How can I get my application, which is a bundled product or enterprise applications, how can I split into the microservices? It's a recent technology which gives the flexibility of complete production life cycle for the developers. How can I introduce microservices, or how can I implement the container-based applications, my applications to be containerized? So if you are thinking about one of these things, this presentation will be really helpful. Or you wanted to understand how the modernization techniques and how you can implement these things right now to understand, so that you can later implement it. So if you are having one of these questions, it will be very helpful. What kind of problems as IBM we are going to solve it today? The first one is how to simplify your cloud modernization, the cloud journey. And second thing is defining the process or practices of modernization, which will give you the centralized, controlled, and governance-based, administration. Third one is we are going to introduce a complete platform from IBM Cloud, which is IBM Cloud Private, to speed up your modernization. How? We are going to introduce few tools and techniques which will tremendously, save your energy and dynamically move your application to the cloud, modernize your application to the cloud. So let's get into the presentation. So what is application modernization? Everybody is trying to define their own way of application modernization, and there are a lot of buzzes and there are a lot of industry standards as well. And we are mentioning that application modernization, which means that transition of your existing applications to the new approaches that fit on the cloud. So when you talk about cloud, you cannot simply migrate your application same as what you do in the existing on-prem to the cloud. You have to convert that into the pieces of cloud-ready state from your existing state to cloud-ready state, then cloud-ready state to the cloud adoption state. Then only you are eligible to run your application for a production workload, which means that if you just migrate your application same as what you do in the regular, on-prem environment years and years, it will actually cost you more. It's kind of resource intensive. You have to follow certain practices, certain guidelines that will actually simplify your resource utilization on the cloud, which means that we provide set of tools and techniques, set of solution-based approach, a simplified approach, so that you can just get your application to understand all the effort what you require to move or get into the various phases of your cloud migration journey. What is the biggest challenge is to find out what is the solution which meets all the 10 questions which I asked earlier. And what is the value which you get it? As part of this adoption practices and the technologies, you don't have to worry about the security and vulnerability, and you can also have this innovation of the new tools and technologies and various industry standards. And you can also get into the IT investments and adopt your new technologies into your place. We are all talking about new technologies, which is a cutting edge technology on the cloud. You can just directly get that technologies and run for your workloads. You can grow, you can identify what is the resource utilization are required for next 2-3 years or whatever the timeline which you come in, and you can identify what is that required to run your workload on the cloud. So what are all the IBM capabilities when we talk about application modernization for our customers? We introduce IBM Cloud Private, which is a transformative platform, which is a full stack platform where you can actually containerize your application and run top of it. It's a complete private cloud platform. You can run your cloud on your data center, which is an existing data center. Some of the applications, some of the industry, they cannot even move to the cloud, which is a public cloud. So this is a great solution for them. They can simply adopt the Cloud Private in their local data center, and they can implement the whole set of cloud implementation technologies. Simply, we mean to say cloud adoption. They can do it. And as part of that, there are various tools available as part of your modernization approach. The first one is Transformation Advisor. Previously, in the traditional approach, when we say migrate, we take that application and we get into the new updated product version and all. We compile it, then we simulate it, then we do all the functional testing and then move to the cloud. Here, what we do is, with help of Transformation Advisor, we simply connect your existing application and we understand what is the effort required to move to the cloud. Basically, scan all your code, whether it is in legacy or within the code, licensed code. It will scan your application and it will tell you the effort required in terms of time and in terms of code rewriting and all. It's a very great solution for your application modernization approach. Then the Cloud Automation Manager. Cloud Automation Manager simplifies all your automation requirements on the cloud. For example, if you wanted to integrate with the public cloud solution and your private cloud solution, this will help you. And this also comes up with its own default policies and templates for your automation requirements. It will actually do all your automation jobs simply by defining these templates. This has a lot of defined features where you can ready-made plug and play use it. Then the microclimate. Microclimate is again the developer tools, same like IDE, which will connect your application, the existing source code, and it will actually, compile and split that application, and that will actually make your application as a cloud-ready state. This tool will automatically simplify all your rewrite methods. You don't want to, we assume that this will simplify 70 to 80% of the work, manual work. Apart from that, we also have the planning, production, what we can do in terms of services management and the DevOps lifecycle and SDLC lifecycle also. And we also do backup recovery. All these things as part of the IBM Cloud Private. We as an IBM, we also introduced a garage method where we have the reference architecture, best practices method, and the tools where you can jumpstart your modernization. This is a very great, repository where you can simply adopt the industry cutting-edge standards as part of your application modernization. Here I mean application modernization. This simply not only the migrating your application. This also include all the tools and technologies and all the various features that require to run on cloud. And second thing is we also focus to add more capabilities as part of your application. That is called modernization. Let's deep into the IBM Cloud Private. So what is the meaning of IBM Cloud Private? What is that exactly give you? It's a full stack private cloud environment. It's a kind of, which will give you the containerized environment to run on. So you can create your container-based application, and you can simply run on top of IBM Cloud Private. This will handle all the high availability, security, and auto provisioning, everything. Whatever you say, it will handle it. Built using industry standard open source projects, which means that it's actually having the cutting edge Kubernetes standards, where you can have high available containerized environment. You can containerize anything, and then you can put it there, so that it will automatically, Kubernetes will automatically manage the cluster-based stuff where, if one part goes down, then the other part will automatically start it. It will manage the high availability perspective for your application. Whatever the CPU cycles, whatever the resources cycle, so it will manage it by defining that in the template. It actually sit on top, behind your firewall, which means that it is in your local cloud private. You can define your cloud, which means that the cloud is fully in your control. So you can define any number of resources, and you can rapidly grow your resources centric, and then you can also reduce the containerized based on the requirements. Whatever the growth volume, you can do it. And the beauty of this one is the data is yours, and application source code and everything is yours. All your security guidelines, all your compliance guidance, everything is part of yours. So it is in your control. You can define everything. You don't require to, wait or depend with any of the other clouds. And you don't want to worry about the cross-platform or data-related issues. It's an evaluation of Bluemix Local, which means that, we have a Bluemix services, which, we extended that services, and we also implemented the same model of services here. So it's a kind of local services which you can get it, which means that any service which you extend, you can just plug and play use it. There is no separate installation, nothing is required. It's a Helm chart based stuff where, any container, any product which you defined, the template, simply a template will be there. You can just get that template, and you can just launch your product and deploy your application. It actually focuses on the developer to production lifecycle. So any developer who can execute your code, execute the functionality, that will work on the IBM Cloud Private. That is the advantage. It's not like development environment it is working and production environment is not working. There is no more issues like that. So how it comes together? The first one is any middleware which you talk about, any middleware which you are using it right now. For example, the popular tools like WebSphere, Application Server, or DB2, or MQ, whatever the platforms, whatever the stuff which you are talking about, everything will work here. So it's simply a container-based stuff. So anything which you containerize it, it will work here. And these IBM tools and tools and products which are already containerized, it's a kind of Docker based. So anything which is containerized, you can run it on top of this IBM Cloud Private. So you don't require to. It's a plug and play. It will simplify your job. So there is no installation. Nothing is required. And it also comes up with the operational services, which is the core operational services includes your security and complete operations management, hybrid integration. And if you wanted to integrate with the public and private, this will simplify your job. This will provide the provision of doing it also. And any of the multi-cloud environments, for example, various other services which you wanted to have services-based access. If you want to expose your services or if you wanted to consume any of the third-party services from the other cloud, you can still do that. Because this is mandatory if I wanted to consider that as part of my organization, because my organization is always a special thing which I'm doing it, not unlike any other organizations. And IBM Cloud Private, which will give you the simplification and flexibility to integrate all these services as well. The next one is the Kubernetes-based container platform. This is a new technology which we introduced, which Google introduced, and we are consuming it, and then we are giving you the complete flexibility to get the high availability as part of Kubernetes. And it's a container-based environment as well. And also the Cloud Foundry, if you wanted to have any special development or the prescribed application development specifically for the Cloud Foundry, you can still have it. IBM Cloud Private for Cloud Foundry is also available. And we have also various alliances and various infrastructure partners as well. For example, VMware, OpenStack, and System Z, which is a mainframe or whatever it is, and then the alliances including Dell, Cisco, NetApp, Lenovo, and Canonical as well. Little deep into the transformation advisor, because this will simplify my 80% of the work for the cloud adoption journey. So my primary question is, how can I identify what kind of effort is required to transform my application into IBM Cloud Private? Before we move to this particular slide, I request Naveen to play the second video, please.
The cloud is all about business innovation, and we've learned and have experience with the top Fortune 2000 customers over the past few years that there's not one cloud fits all or even fits every workload need. We know from these enterprise top customers that they have different data isolation, compute needs to run in a secure environment, and that they can't always run everything in the public cloud. With IBM Cloud Private, we deliver on the promise of cloud in the customer's own data center. And with that package, we deliver with it a set of application developer services. We bring the heritage and the legacy and experience of IBM's middleware, data, and analytics portfolio, and we ship that on top of the Cloud Private platform, which allows these customers to innovate very quickly and realize business value immediately on the platform.
Okay, thank you. So let's get into the transformation advisor. As I said earlier that I want to migrate my application into the cloud, but I can't wait for 6 months to modernize or migrate my code to the cloud. I mean that fit into the cloud. I don't know, or I hate to hear from my team that we need 6 months time or 8 months time to migrate complete application to the cloud. And second thing is we don't know what kind of stuff which we require, which we need to do to migrate as part of various issues like legacy applications and compatibility issues. Now, considering the transformation advisor from IBM is a very good solution, and this also as part of IBM Cloud Private, there is no installation, nothing is required. And this scans your WebSphere-based applications, basically whatever the traditional Java-based applications which you deployed on top of WebSphere application server, which is an application server infrastructure product. it scan all your code and it will give you the handy report saying that what kind of workload can be migrated very easily or what kind of effort is required to the cloud, basically on containerized model. This will also suggest based on the containerized stuff which you wanted to perform, which you wanted to rewrite your code or touch your application. Basically, it won't touch your application, logic or business logic. It actually scans the compatibility issues and it will tell you the handy report saying that, this is what the workload can be migrated directly, which means that there is nothing is required. There is no code writing or no bug fixing is required for that kind of set of code, which can be directly, take it and then put it on the cloud. And these are all the variables or these are all the functions to be modernized, which is on rewriting so that it can actually move to the cloud, which can run on the cloud. So it will give you the guidance also. It will not just give you that these are all the compatibility issues, but these are all give you the complete information about what all the changes required. For example, this method is not compatible, then it will give you that what method you need to use it as part of your code. This will simplify your complete rewriting of your code, and there is nothing is required, and this will simplify 80% of the workload can be directly migrated to the cloud. This is a great advantage which I can get it as part of the application migration journey. IBM Cloud Automation Manager, again, little deep into what we can get it as part of IBM Cloud Automation Manager. And this also part of IBM Cloud Private. So this is a template based where you can directly just get that Helm chart and then you can launch it. Basically, it will give you the complete flexibility of implementing the automation stuff, whatever the automation which you have already on your on-premise environment, you can still have it. This comes up with its own template, predefined template where you can use it, or you can also create your own template to have this automation engine to be available for your cloud environment. And this also give you the complete flexibility of integrating your hybrid cloud environments, which means that you can also integrate your third-party cloud services, which you can expose it and you can consume it also. And this also give you the complete flexibility of managing your instances. Here, instances means the containers, whether it is on master container or it is on your standalone container. So everything it will manage it. It will give you the complete flexibility to manage it also. So it's a kind of orchestration based, you can get the complete deployment and the process where you can define your own integration and or third-party integration, and you can draw a flow where you can use the flow engine method to get that complete automation framework available on the cloud. And this also can integrate with various popular clouds as well, where you can just get it as part of it. This is not at all requiring more time. So you can just, plug and play, use it, and then you can integrate it. These are all tested, complete, documentations also available. You can just directly use it. And there are various features which we are still developing and added over to it so that you can get the complete industry overview and complete industry requirements also as part of it. Okay. So this is what we do as part of the application modernization. This is what the practice which we suggest and we implement for any customers which we take. The first one is the discover and assess. This is also applicable for the traditional application migration or modernization. But here there are some more differences which we added as part of the modernization and operationalization spaces. The first one is discover and assess, where we understand your application and what is that you are actually implemented, and the functions, whatever it is required, whether it is on a legacy application or compatible application, and we understand end to end about what your application is actually, and what kind of technology, what kind of infrastructure you have, what kind of stack you have, and what is that exactly you require in terms of the existing, considering that existing non-functional and functional requirements and the dependencies and your processes. We understand everything. We discover everything as part of your infrastructure and in the assessment phase. And second thing is the modernize and operationalize. Based on the inputs, whatever we gathered from discover and assess phase, We set up the platform, we set up we define the process for you, and we give you the complete flexibility to move your application to the cloud, which means that we do the real modernization of your application. Here I mean modernization, which also includes that adding the more capabilities into it. Now, in terms of operationalize also, for example, how I am going to manage it, what kind of flexibility I'm getting it. So all these things to be defined in this space, modernize and operationalize space. And the next one is the competency and deep skills, where our experts will be interacting with you to understand what are all the other capabilities which we can add as part of your application and as part of your cloud application. We also leverage the deep skills based on the your requirement in terms of what you will be on the next 3 years or 5 years down the line, and we add more capabilities to it so that your application can meet your users' requirement. End of the day, what I get as part of the application modernization services from IBM, you get your application speed to market, which means that you can adapt immediately. And second thing is rapid innovation. As you are using the latest technologies and tools which you have used already, you migrated that to the cloud. And where you can actually get whatever the services which you want, you can implement it at the ease of speed and cost savings. Because this also comes up with various versions where you can leverage to understand what kind of workload to define, what kind of workloads are not required. So this will tell you all the things. And this also comes up with the various monitoring and monitoring tools where you can use it and you can cover up with what kind of expenses are required, what kind of cost required for running that into the production. Here is our approach. So you will get increased agility and reduced risk, which means that self-services, and you can also have the access to the garage methods and turnkeys where you can get our experts will interact with you, and which we actually get your application to be added with more capability. So these are all the approach we define to reduce customers' risk and bringing more business for you on the cloud. So this is how we enable you to the enterprise transformation. Today, if you have any of the application services, any of the products which you have used for your application, enterprise application, example, WAS, DB2, or MQ, or WebLogic, JBoss, and all, we get the analysis and we get the insights for complete your infrastructure and migrate that to the cloud. We implement all the services, all the flexibility, for example, DevOps and microservices and all these things, and make that ready runtime, which is a cloud adoption state, and we move to the private cloud or public cloud or whatever the cloud which you wanted to integrate with it. And immediately you can start the operations and the management as well. Again, the transformation advisor, you just use it and then try what kind of advantages which you will get it as part of the IBM Cloud Private as well. The challenges again, leveraging the existing application logic, because some of the architects may left from organization as well. Those are all critical things to consider while doing the migration and the modernization as well. And the critical documents, for example, what kind of things and the data flow and user request and user process, all these things, we need to understand very clearly before we move to the cloud. And more importantly, this tool will help you the workload migration, what kind of things which you wanted to consider to rewrite. And as part of it, as I mentioned, that 3 different states. One is your existing state, and second thing is the cloud ready state, and third one is the cloud adoption state. The cloud ready state where you can get the as-is environment where it can migrate or you can move to the cloud. And second thing is the cloud adoption state where you touch upon your application and convert that application into the microservices. And the transformation tool will simplify this job. Transformation advisor tool will give you the flexibility to understand and to give you the complete information about what kind of data is required to migrate or split that pieces of your code, so that if the data bundle is the application bundle is having a problem, all your users will not be affected. For example, the case here is if your enterprise application which is having some problem. For example, if you have defined it in 4 or 5 nodes, and if there is a problem in particular node in the application, all your users will be affected because that may require a restart as well. So complete downtime or service at risk state. And here, as part of the microservices and the containers, you are going to split that into the small pieces of your application, which means that certain functionality of your code will be split over from the bundle. If that is having some problem, and all other bundle of your all other small containers will not be affected, which means that all small features of your application will not be affected. The end user will never get updated, will never get affected as well. So you can restart, and you can also bring up your own container, next container, and high availability container, so that you can serve the uninterrupted services for your end users. So this is also one more deep dive view about how we actually do the assessment. The first one is we get your complete environment, and as part of the application, we completely get the insights of your application, whether it is on simple or moderate or medium or complex environment, complex code which you have. So based on the code, we actually put the respective measure class, and we split that application into the bundle, small containers. That's the view which we get it as part of the cloud migration strategy. We split, and then we get into the modernization phase. We get into the cloud tools. We get into the the complete private cloud tools, IBM private cloud tools, and we directly move to the cloud environment, cloud tools, and then infrastructure that will be move and fit into the cloud. So complete glance about the offerings what we put. So the first one is the discover and assess, and second thing is the modernize and operationalize, and third one is the competency and the deep skills. So for each and every phase, there is a complete set of activities what we give, what we do, and what we interact with you, what the data which we collect, and what is the advantages which you get it also. These are all predefined, so you don't require to do the reinvent the wheel. It's already there. The plug and play guidelines which you can get it on each and every phase, and you can do the complete modernization, application modernization in a shot based on our offerings. So this is the deep, complete detailed view about the discovery phase. So we do understand, interact with you, gather more details about each and every pieces of information about your infrastructure, and what is that which you are doing currently with that, what kind of infrastructure and all. What is our goals are defined, and who are all the participants also, and the timeline to complete also. And we also have certain deliverables. What is that we are going to deliver at the end of the assessment phase, and we will hand over to you as well for your review. And we also tell you that what needs to be done for the next stage. These are all the findings, and this also includes the risks and assumptions as well, and what is the best practices to be followed. Some customers, they wanted to spend more time as well. It's based on the applications and the infrastructure code. Some of the enterprise applications which require more time as well, and some of the applications can can be assessed within a day or two as well. And some of the applications which require dependency with the third-party services as well, and some of the applications may not be having any source code as well. So we have to get all these information, and we have to collect all these things and get into the centralized place where this is what we are having, and this is what we are going to be. And this is the application modernization phase, and this requires a little more time because this is the phase which we are actually doing the modernization, which we are converting your application that can fit into the cloud. This all will not take much time considering your traditional approaches, because tools, the IBM Cloud Private tools, which will simplify your modernization journey. This will simplify almost 70 to 80%. Some applications we can consider that 90%, more than 90% of the manual work as well. This will directly do the automation and directly do the modernization as well. That's the biggest advantage for any enterprises. So application modernization phase, which we take each and every application, and we do the modernization. We consider each and every application, and we give priority for each and every small pieces as well, and we focus on to get into the modernization. We take one application, we put it on the tools, and then we get the output of the application. This is how we do. And based on the number of applications, we define the critical, and we define what is that more priority, which includes the dependencies as well, and what is the lowest application, which is on low critical applications as well. We take that and then we put the priority, and then based on that, we modernize your application. And once the application is modernized, we also do the complete round of testing to make sure whether it is running fine and it is not hitting with any of the compatibility issues or any vulnerability or industry standard, meeting the industry standards as well. This also, includes what is the goal which we have, and what is that assumptions, and what are all the prerequisites we have on both ends. For example, IBM end as well as your end, and what kind of deliverables we have. The end goal is to migrate your application, and that can be migrated and fit into the cloud. And second thing is, I wanted to run that application directly to the cloud for my production. I don't want to simply put that into the cloud environment and keeping it testing for most of the time. So the next one is the competency and the deep skills. This phase is the next stage where we actually discuss with our experts. Okay, we understand what kind of roadmap that application, more capabilities comparing with the industry standards. For example, how your industry standard which we have implemented to meet the competition. So all the stuff which we leverage and add more flexibility in terms of scalability and growth phase, and then considering the modernized stuff like AI and all these blockchains and all these things as well. So we will leverage all these kind of flexibility and application capabilities, and we will implement it. So mostly we get interact with the solution architects from customers, and infrastructure architects and system administrators as well, and primarily the application developers as well, because developers are the one who is going to touch the application and introduce the new capabilities as well. Here, this phase, we are not going to alter any of the business logic. We are going to add more capability, which means that your application logic and business flow will remain intact. The comparison, what we have, the approach, and what is the technology which we have, and again the prescriptive guidelines. What is that guidelines which we suggest for the enterprise applications? How it should migrate that to the cloud, and what kind of engagements we can do with customers for the application to be modernized to the cloud. And we also leverage all the questions which I discussed earlier, like we also address all the legacy and the compatibility methods and compatibility issues as well for your application. We also introduce we get to will simplify your cloud journey. You will know the transparent in and out details about what you need to do. And skill set also we define. This is what the skill set which you need. This is what the skill set which is lagging or which is required to run your application for next 2-3 years or whatever the timeline which you want. And we will also define from our side that what is the roadmap in terms of ICT and then the products what we supply. And this also give you the complete picture about what is that you need from your end for the IT governance perspective. And we also define, as part of the ICT, we also define that what is the timeline required to take your existing legacy application that can fit on cloud. And what is the budget also? It's an upfront cost which is required, and that is also defined from our side and your end also to meet and migrate and modernize that your application into the cloud. And we will also give you the complete picture of where you wanted to include the third-party cloud and hybrid cloud, how you wanted to, what is the best industry standards which you wanted to include. That will actually simplify and upgrade your level to the cloud journey. And you can also get the complete feature of high availability and scalability, auto provisioning, which means that this is a new concept which we introduced. So it's an auto provisioning of the parts, which is in cluster nodes. If one node goes down, the other node will automatically come up. That is one concept. The second concept is if the dynamic workload comes in, how you are going to manage the dynamic workload. So it's an auto provisioning of the particular nodes, the particular apps, where you can directly, you don't require to worry about it in the ADA or even hours. It will automatically provision and manage the complete dynamic workload. This will also run through all the scalable security, vulnerability, and compliance also. It will give you the complete information about your security guidelines perspective. And this also comes up with the complete monitoring infrastructure, and you can directly use it to understand what kind of resource utilization which you have, whether to provision a new cluster, or whether to provision new node, or whether to provide any new container or parts. And this also gives you the complete flexibility to understand whether your apps needs recoding or the lift and shift method. And this also comes up with the microservices flexibility, where you can get the information about the complete guidelines of how to implement it. The 12-factor authentication methods or 12-factor methods for the microservices, container-based stuff as well. I think there is a question from Sunil Kapadia. Can I get the comparison sheet between Azure and IBM Cloud? Yes, of course, you can get it. So this material is available on IBM Cloud, so you can directly get it on the IBM public site, on the IBM Cloud site. So ibm.com/cloud, if you go through, you can get a lot of materials, and there will be in comparison as well. This will not even having the Azure, but this is also available comparison with various other clouds as well. It is available, Sunil. So the next one is, the automation stuff, and then the DevOps lifecycle. Of course, you can get it. So, complete automation and the DevOps Jenkins or whatever the framework, the open source framework which you are using it, you can directly get it. And the cloud ready state, microservices and the containers, you can get it, the complete information about, complete flexibility to get the microservices. Your application will be split into microservices, where it will give you the flexibility to operate that in the cloud. And, containers as well, so that, it can give you the complete flexibility from your developers to the production. If developer can run that application and can make the successful call to the production user base, you can directly launch that container into the production, which means that it is working. There is no second thought that it may or may not work. It would work. So I think this will, give you the complete answer about how you can migrate your application and modernize your application, how to, add more capabilities and to modernize your application, and that fit into the cloud. And how you can transform the enterprise workloads. There are various things which we defined as well. And, in terms of process, in terms of business logic, in terms of technology, what you need to use it, in terms of business values and the target improvements, what are all the efficiencies if you can get it in terms of operational wise and cost wise, whether it is in self-services or it's a kind of integrated and integrated feature. So I wanted to achieve one thing, that I wanted to implement the cloud without spending much effort, without spending much cost, and I should be knowing the complete stuff upfront. I don't want to hide anything, and this will be a very great solution for you to modernize your application and complete cloud journey, your cloud journey. This also fit into the latest technologies and tools, so that you can flexibly operate your production workloads on cloud. And this also gives you the complete agility to address any disruption and new user expectations. Any UI which comes in, so you wanted to use whether it is in public or private, and that will be addressed to your user flexibility, user convenience basically, and this will operate. This will give you the convenience of implementing all. So you wanted to just consider the UI and the user experience perspective, and that will be achievable through the ICP and then the tools associated with it. So these are the promises of microservices. Again, this is not a new one; it's already defined. So it will be splitting your complete modules, the bundle application bundle, any of your enterprise application, which is a bundle. Now we are going to split into the module wise, which means that one module to another module, we understand the dependency and then split. So if any functionality issues or any of the issues on that particular module will not affect any other integrated modules. That's how we define. So if that module is not working also, none of your application other modules should be affected, which means that your application is not under service. Your application remains working. Your application will be serving for users as well. And then the loose coupling, which is one of the great advantage, where your users will not be getting affected, and you will get 99.999 or whatever the defined terminology of availability which you define. It's self-contained modules, which means that any container, if you take it, you can define your application and you can port it. If any problems, you can define a new container and you can define it as well. And you can also define your application without having any dependencies of your application and languages. And you can also put optimal deployments of your application, and small patches or whatever the patches which you can get it, and you can get very much implement all these things as part of the microservices implementation. And more importantly, it is an API based composition. So these are the benefits you get it. It's all defined already. It's a scalability and operational resilience and incremental changes. So complete stuff what you want, the complete flexibility what you want to get your application moved to the cloud, which is a containerized code. So there are some materials already available, which is an open source material, and we have defined those things in the Git and then the IBM site as well. You can feel free to visit these links, and you can leverage all the options and contact us for more detail. Thank you very much. And before I say thank you, I have one question received from Karan Naik. Is it possible for IBM team to meet us to get more details? Of course, yes. We can meet you and we can discuss with you and get all the details, and we can help you the complete information what you want to move your application to the cloud, which means that modernize your application to the cloud. Definitely possible, Kiran. Sunil Kapadia again, asked one question that can I get this PPT? I think it will be available. You can leverage that as well. So with this, I think I'm done with my presentation. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'm handing over to Krishna Mukherjee. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Subburaj, for such an insightful session. I just wanted to check that whether Mr. Venkatesh Kumarava will have some note on this or something he wants to add to this. Mr. Venkatesh?
Sorry, I was speaking on mute, and thanks, Krishna, for this session. I think it's a wonderful one, and I hope the participant had fully leveraged on this one. If there are any questions, kindly reach out to us, and we are from professional services team, and we will help you support migrating from on-prem to a private cloud. Okay, we are operate out of Bangalore, so location is not a constraint for us. So we'll see how do we go about this, and you can reach out to the hosts. In turn, they can come out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, I think there is a question from Rakesh Roshan. I think Rakesh, you can reach out to this host with regards to our contacts and what is the ask, and they will send it back to us, our backend team, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Exactly. Mr. Rakesh Roshan is asking about some contact details. So we will take care of that maybe after this webinar. So thank you so much, Mr. Suburaj. Thank you so much, Mr. Venkatesh. On behalf of the Economic Times, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this webinar and Mr. Suburaj for sharing his thoughtful insights. We hope it has been a useful time spent with us. So finally, once you log off, automatically a window will open to capture your feedback. Your feedback is very important for us, so please fill in as detailed as possible. Thank you again for joining the Economic Times live webinar powered by IBM. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.